Mussels are a really convenient way to incorporate more seafood into your diet. And these steamed mussels with corn, cherry tomatoes, tarragon taste like the essence of summer. So to start, take olive oil. You're shooting for 3 tablespoons of olive oil, just over medium heat. Add 1 shallot. Shallot's great here because it adds a really nice sweetness. It marries well with the tomatoes and the corn. Sizzle is a good sign. I'm gonna season with a little bit of salt. And just let these become a little bit more tender, about a minute or so. Shallots are nice and tender, they smell amazing. So to this, add 3/4 of a cup of dry white wine. This is gonna add a really nice acidity, delicious flavor to our mussel broth. And you wanna let this reduce by about half, and that's just gonna make the flavor super potent. So as this is reducing, I am gonna slice up the rest of my cherry tomatoes. I have 8 ounces of cherry tomatoes here. The great thing about cherry tomatoes these days is that there's so many different varieties. Looks like my wine mixture has reduced by about half. So let's add the tomatoes and 1 cup of corn kernels. This recipe is great for that bumper crop at the farmer's market. Maybe you're growing all this stuff in your backyard. Give it a stir. Now the tomatoes are gonna break down just slightly, and it's gonna make a really nice, rich, flavorful sauce. Corn is looking bright yellow. Tomatoes are nice and juicy. I think it's time to add the mussels. So I have here 2 pounds of mussels that I've already cleaned really thoroughly under running water. I always like to give them a smell. They smell fresh like the sea. Into this mixture they go. Now cover them up. And we're gonna let these steam at medium heat for about 4 minutes. We'll check to see at 4 minutes if all the shells have opened. If not, we'll cover it again, cook them for about another minute or so. Okay, so my mussels are almost done. I'm gonna chop up the garnish here. We're gonna use tarragon, which is such a nice, sweet flavor. And I like to add these tender herbs at the very end because you capture all the rich essential oils and they're still fresh and vibrant. So let's check on our mussels. Ooh, beautiful. Nice and steamy, all the shells are open. We are done here. So just give it a toss. Now, mussels, shellfish in general, tend to be naturally high in sodium. That's why they taste like the sea. So always taste your broth before you add more salt. Gonna add just a little bit of salt there. Give it a toss. We're gonna add our chopped tarragon. Don't worry, we're gonna garnish it with some more. So one of my favorite things about mussels, I think, is just picking them out of the shells. I have loved this since I was a kid. It still delights me to no end. So interestingly enough, about 1 pound of mussels, so we have 2 pounds here, 1 pound of mussels contains about the same amount of protein as a 6-ounce steak, but it has no saturated fat, which makes it a really great protein-packed, filling summer dinner. Now, we want to make sure we get lots of the broth, this beautiful orange-colored broth. This is what the bread is for. For finishing touch, add some more fresh tarragon. Again, basil would be delicious here, even mint, chopped parsley. They're very customizable. You can cook them any which way, and they're always going to be delicious. So I like to serve this with lots of crusty bread. I just toast this in the oven, drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, the better to mop up the juices. This looks so good. My mouth is already watering. Really delicious, really fast. This is something everyone's gonna love at the table. Homemade mussels never tasted better.